Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Irfan Nafisha binti Nur Azlan. Number metri is 23F1098. Today, our group want to explain about problem-based task. So, this is case scenario. Class candidate. This class represents a candidate in an election. First, attributes. Private integer ID. This store the candidate ID. Private string name. This store the candidate's name. Private integer votes. This store the numbers of votes the candidate has received. It initialized to 0. Second, constructor. Public candidate integer ID string name. This constructor initializes the ID and the name of the candidate. The votes attribute is initialized to 0. Thirdly, getters. Public integer get ID. Returns the get candidate IDs. Public string get name. Returns the candidate name. Public integer get votes. Return the numbers of votes the candidate has received. 4. Methods. Public void add vote. Increments the candidate votes count by 1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Irina Patricia binti Mami. My matrix number is 01DDT23F1121. So right now it's my turn to explain this coding. So for the registration class, provide two public method, that is register candidates and register voter. The register candidate and voters respectively for an election system is used as scanner to collect input from the user, the console. So for a single instance of the scanner class is declared at the class level to take input through the program. So for the register candidate method, register a list of candidates for an election. This to print a message to indicate the start of candidate registration. So we use scanner.net's int to read the input and call scanner.net's line to clear the buffer after reading an integer. And for array creation, we create an array of candidate object with the size num candidates. So for the loop num candidate time, the user to enter the name of each candidate. So we use the input to create new candidate object with a unique ID I+1 and the enter name. And then for the register voter method, register a list of voter for the election, and then we print a message to indicate the start of voter registration. And we also use scanner.net's int to read the input and call scanner.net's line to clear the buffer. So we create an array for voter object with the size num voter. So we use the input to create a new voter object with unique ID I+1 and the enter name. So both method follow almost identical logic, such as the user to specify the number of items to register, and we create an array based on the specific number. So we populate the array with object create using user input, and we also ensure input are valid, and we replace array with array list to provide dynamic sizing and eliminate the need to specify array size upfront. Okay, now for the class pooling, a scanner instance for reading user input from the console, and we use a method conduct pooling to manage the pooling process. So for the conduct pooling, this method facilitates the pooling process, enabling voter to cast their vote for candidates. So the parameters that we use is candidate, which is an array of candidate object participating in the pooling. So an array of voter object eligible to vote. and the message and polling process is displayed through signal that start of the process. And a for loop iterates over the voter array to process each voter. And after that, for the check voting status, if voter that has vote is false, the voter is allowed to vote, otherwise they are skipped. So a nested for loop iterates through the candidates array to display a list of candidates. Each candidate is shown with their ID and name in the format. So the voter input is captured using scanner.net's int. And for another for loop, iterate through the candidates array to find the candidate with the matching ID. So if a match is found, the candidate's vote count is incremented using the candidate.addVote method. So the confirmation message will display. The voter status is updated to indicate that they have voted using vote.vote. The break statement exits the loop once the vote is recorded. And the code assume the user enter a valid candidate ID. Additional validation may be needed to handle invalid inputs or duplicate vote. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Method display result digunakan untuk memaparkan keputusan penunjang untuk setiap kandidat dalam array yang menggunakan for loop untuk setiap objek kandidat. Candidate.getName parameter menerima semula nama kandidat. Candidate.getVote parameter menerima semula bilangan undi yang diterima oleh kandidat. Kemudian dipaparkan dalam format number of voter for nama kandidat bilangan undian. Loop melalui kandidat yang lain yang I bermula dari 1 kerana kandidat parameter kosong sudah dianggap sebagai pemenang awal. Jika kandidat mempunyai lebih banyak undian daripada pemenang semasa, maka pemenang akan diupdate kepada calon itu. Letakkan semula tie kepada false kerana tiada seri start ini. Jika saldo ini dengan pemenang semasa, maka setkan tie kepada true, menunjukkan bilangan selalu mempunyai ujian yang tertinggi. Jika seri adalah benar, maka output this tie and no single winner akan dipaparkan. Jika seri adalah salah, maka output nama kandidat yang menang akan dan jumlah voter akan dipaparkan. Scanner digunakan untuk menerima input dari user, kemudian registration digunakan untuk handle berkaitan pendaftaran kandidat dan voter. Polling pula digunakan untuk menerus proses voting. Result juga digunakan untuk memaparkan keputusan selepas voting. Seterusnya, metod register kandidat dari kelas registration dipanggil untuk meminta user untuk masukkan bilangan calon dan nama mereka. Ini mengembalikan array ke objek kandidat. Metod register voter juga dipanggil untuk mendaftarkan voter. Ini meminta user untuk memberikan bilangan voter dan nama mereka dan mengembalikan array ke objek voter. Metod conduct polling dari kelas polling digunakan dengan array kandidat dan voter sebagai parameter. Semasa fasa ini, setiap voter yang berdaftar diberikan peluang untuk mengundi kandidat pilihan mereka. Selepas penundian selesai, metod display result dari kelas result dipanggil. Ia menerima array kandidat yang kini memenuhi kiraan undi yang dikemas kini untuk setiap kandidat. Metod ini kemudian akan menemukan keputusan.
For the output, first candidate registration. In this step, the program prompts the user to enter the number of candidates 4 and their names. These candidates are then stored as candidate objects with their IDs 1 to 4 and initial vote count set to 0. 2. Voter registration. The program then prompts the user to enter the number of voters 8 and their names. These voters are stored as voter objects with their ID 1 to 8. N initial has vote status set to false. 3. Polling process. The program display the list of candidates and prompts each voter to enter the number corresponding to their preferred candidate. The voter's vote is then recorded. The candidate at vote method is called to increment the vote count. The voter vote method is called to set their hash vote status to true. After all votes have been cast, the program displays the number of votes each candidate received. Haris 2 votes, Haikal 4 votes, Adam 1 votes, Daniel 1 votes. Lastly, the program announced the winner Haikal as the candidate with the highest number of votes for.